I work predominantly with the listings, right? You're working predominantly with buyers, and people always ask, what's happening with the market? From a listing side perspective, things are taking longer to sell for sure. We are experiencing days on market, typically, on average 30 to 40 days. And so sometimes the clients or the sellers might panic because they're not getting immediate offers on their home, but it's typical. They've just been used to, the time that they could just list their home and they have 5 offers. It's definitely a situation where buyers are wanting more in repairs, they are more picky, and we're actually seeing cancellations where buyers will enter into escrow, another property may come on the market they like better, they'll pull out of this transaction and go into a new transaction. So it's definitely a change in the market since the last time because of the higher interest rates and the bigger supply of properties on the market. Buyers have more options and they're definitely being more picky. And I know that you work with buyers more than I do. Tell the audience a little bit about what you're experiencing writing offers and what you're seeing out there.
I think when it comes to working with buyers, we have to be a little bit more strategic than how we were before. Oftentimes, I know buyers get really excited and they're like, oh, I love this house, let's go take a look at it. But you really have to talk to a lender first and get a pre-approval letter first, because there's so many different options, so many different things. I think it depends on price point. I think it depends on city, area, neighborhood. If a home is very popular and very hot per se, you may have to be strategic because a lot of sellers aren't really loving the idea of contingency. So we've been having to do more bridge loans, right? And basically to where you are able to get a loan to purchase the home first and then, sell your home after you've already purchased the property.
Yeah, resulting in more costs.
But, it's been something that worked for one of my clients, or, even I have buyers who love new builds, right? But new builds, you also have to be strategic and bring an expert as well too, because they offer incentives, but there's more that you can get out of it as well. So I think just being strategic, having a good plan, having a knowledgeable agent, talking to a knowledgeable lender, and just coming up with what's going to be the most financial sense for you at the end.
Wow, that was a lot in a little bit.
Well, even on the listing side, something that I've even seen too is when it comes to listing your home, they don't sell themselves anymore. You can't just do passive marketing. You have to do active marketing nowadays. Even us, like
there's a property we priced in Rosina Ranch. We thought it was pretty competitive and it was like crickets. Mm-hmm. Like we weren't getting in and we actually had to do a price adjustment. And then we've had other properties that we put on the market and we've immediately got offers. And so it really, again, it's dependent. What I'm seeing out there is that areas that are the older areas, older communities where there's not a lot of new construction, those areas are selling quicker. So like your areas possibly like West Covina, maybe like Pomona, sell quicker because we're not competing with a lot of new construction. Mm-hmm. Where other areas such as like Menifee, we're competing against the builders.
Yes.
And so what's happening is those builders, like you were talking about, are offering these lots of incentives. They're paying down the interest rate. They're giving away solar. They're giving a lot of incentives to get people into those homes because they need to sell homes too, because the market truly has changed. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very specific. There's an app that I actually like to use, and I'm not pitching them. I'm not getting paid for it, but it's called Reventure.
Oh, yes, I love it.
And Reventure will give us certain scores in areas, and I like to look at those and those apps. And he talks a lot about too. He's more or more specific locally to this Inland Empire and the Southern California market, where he's more of a national. And he also is talking about the builders, that their profits are down significantly. We're talking like the D.R. Hortons of the world, KB Homes, and those ones are having to offer lots of incentives, reducing their profitability in order to get homes to move.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do see too that they do make up some of that profit though on the back end when it goes to the taxes too, the property taxes. I have seen some of that.
Yeah, that's more like for improvements or something. And that's one of the things that we're experiencing too. It's really truly a bifurcated market. Mm-hmm. And what I guess what we're seeing out there is that the first-time buyers are the ones that are struggling the most with these payments. Yes. By the time they look at the interest rates, in the mid 6% range, combined with an HOA fee, a lot of times with a 10% down payment, their payment's going to be, close to $5,000 or more a month, yet they can rent a similar property for like $3,100 a month. And so that $2,000 gap per month in housing expense, they're pulling back and choosing to rent more than to purchase. And that's kind of what we're seeing too.
Yeah.
And then yet our high-end buyers, the buyers that have a home that they're selling to buy a home, or maybe they're a downsizer, meaning that they have a big home they're going to sell to a smaller home, they're not as sensitive to the interest rates as our first-time buyers.
Absolutely. For first-time home buyers, it can feel really defeating to, try to have that dream of being able to buy your first home. It's with the interest rates and with like I mentioned how the rents are, it's easier to rent than to buy. There's strategies and there's things you could do out there. Multi-generational living in a home is huge. People are building lots of ADUs.
Yes.
That's a huge thing as well too. Or even people are looking into buying mobile homes. I know plenty of people who have bought mobile homes. I even have a mobile home.
Yeah, right now just your cost of living to keep it down in comparison to rents, and then you can build up equity and stuff in that.
So I think the American dream of buying your first home is definitely still there. I think there's just different hoops and different things we have to go through in order to get to the end goal.
Yeah. From a national perspective, we hear about how Florida is crashing, right? And Texas, portions of Texas are coming down. In the Vegas market, and we're talking about the Phoenix market. Yet, here in Southern California, we are seeing some prices come down. But yet we're not seeing it like as much as some of these other states. And I think it has to do with when we went through COVID, a lot of people moved out of California to these other states, increasing their prices, such as Utah and other states, where now, California didn't get that super appreciation in certain areas. We did see a big decline, I think, in our vacation market areas, such as the Big Bear market, the Crestline. We saw a lot in Palm Springs because, again, during COVID, those prices got super inflated because everyone wanted to become VRBO millionaires. And now they're having rental restrictions, plus now people are going back to hotels more and going there. In fact, we have a client who's selling a home in Vegas, and we referred him out to an excellent agent in Vegas. And she was telling me that they are now having rental restrictions there because the casinos want to fill up their hotels. So again, the politicians are passing laws to restrict short-term rentals in order to fill up their hotels. So the hotel industry, I think, lobbies and gets legislation pushed through to limit the number of short-term rentals.
Yeah, that's a tough market for sure.
Yeah. And we see that in Lake Havasu too. I have a home in Lake Havasu, and it's like, again, the VRBO market is hurting, even though we have 2 rentals out there. And our rentals normally during the summer were very busy, and we're seeing less demand for those rentals right now.
Oh, absolutely. People prefer the house. They want the big house with the pool and,
Yeah.
or even just the hotel. Either they have enough people to pitch in to buy or to rent out a home, or they are on the cheaper side and want to just go to the hotel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a struggle right now out there.
Yeah, and
sure.
I think the economy too, people are feeling the pinch, with inflation due to gas and food prices. And even this weekend on 4th of July in Havasu, it felt like it was not as busy as it has been in previous years. I could be wrong in that. Just to me, when I was on the water, and you have, these boats sometimes have 100, 200 gallon tanks, and you're filling up at, used to be, in Havasu you could fill up for $3 a gallon, and now you're looking at, say, maybe $6 a gallon. That's a pretty big gas tank to be filling up. And I think people are feeling the pinch. And usually when we go out to restaurants out there, you'd be a big wait. We're walking to restaurants and maybe they're at 70 to 80% capacity.
Yeah, it's something that not a lot of people are wanting to talk about right now, but the job loss that's happening, even like Google, Amazon, it's really affecting and hurting a lot of people right now.
Yeah,
So
in fact, we have a
spend.
client we're talking to right now that she lost her job. Now he's getting laid off on his job.
Oh, yes.
And they're coming to us to try to downsize and stuff. And their payment, they did a loan modification, and their payment was like $4,000 a month, and now it's jumped to like almost $7,000 a month or more.
Yeah, and they had great degrees, great career. They had the dream home, and it's like I've come to learn that the system no longer rewards education. is what I've definitely learned.
Ouch. How about that? I think that skill set and education still has a factor, but
Yes.
you know, definitely there is a change in the employment market. I always say it seems like we're now living in the horse buggy to combustible engine time, except we're now going from to AI and robotics.
Yes.
And so we're having a change in that demographic too. I saw an interesting statistic, not to be morbid, but we're having a higher death rate than we are having newborn rates.
Oh, yes,
and
I did see
so
that.
because of the baby boomer generation, we're having more people in the U.S. pass away, and we're having less people are having children, and therefore our population is starting to decrease a little bit. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't blame them. Coming from a, young woman, it's hard to raise and afford to take care of children nowadays in this economy. Like, they say that children are the new, luxury thing that you have to afford, and then, it's easier to take care of a dog or a plant or a cat nowadays and more affordable than it is to take care of kids. That's just the way it is.
I want a plant, not a kid. Interesting.
I say that because my sister, she's a botany major and she loves her plants.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And her cats.
Yeah, so, in the marketplace, we're seeing, higher interest rates. People are expecting them to come down. They didn't because of, we're having the war. Oil prices have gone up. We still have to, they're still trying to fight the inflation. But rates as a whole are pretty consistent with over the longevity of time. And so I don't see if rates are going to come down, maybe a percentage if they were to come down. I don't see it this year, though. They had a new Federal Reserve chair just got sworn in would be the deal. Just got a new Federal Reserve chair, and he's saying that he's going to keep rates at the same level or increase the rates. So we're not going to see those rates, I don't think, come down this year, especially with oil prices up where they're at. We're having incomes not increasing. I don't see that. And so, what's going to happen? I believe prices are going to have to adjust. They're going to have to come down to get where people couldn't afford the homes. In fact, I just saw a chart that shows that the affordability index now is at a all-time low again. And you look at these peaks and you'll see that, it takes now 40%, it takes 40% of their income to qualify for a mortgage. And every time when the affordability gets to that point, we've had a correction in the marketplace. Now, I don't think it's different than 2008 in the essence of that we had a mortgage financial collapse, and we had many people had loans that were based upon interest only or negative amortization, and the banks froze and they couldn't do loans, and that was an issue. This time around, we had the dot-com venture. That was another crash during the dot-com. But now we've got the AI stocks way up there. Right? We've got inflation up there. So it's a different set of circumstances. But at the same time, it's been proven that every time the affordability index gets to a certain ratio, there's been a correction in the market. And again, if we put that chart up, which I have, and I actually got it through the Reventure guy, I feel like we're on that cusp. We can always see the homes have peaked. We're doing appraisals that we've done having to redo, or people who had got married, bought a home in 2022, 2023, and now we are reappraising those or selling those, and sometimes it's less than what they paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely. We just experienced that on one case, actually a few properties, to where they owe more on the mortgage payment than what the property is worth, and we have to convert to a short sell. And it's unfortunate. These clients, they're going through a divorce, they're going through a hard time, there's no equity in the home, and all we can do to help them is to help them get on to their next chapter and sell the property and get them out of a situation to where they don't have to have a foreclosure on their record.
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. The short sale still will have a negative impact on their credit. The benefits of it that we were able to help them with is, one, they got to stay in the home and live there longer without having to make a payment. They did show that they try to be proactive and not have a foreclosure. And then we ended up getting them, how much did we get them in moving costs? Like
$7,500 in relocation costs.
$7,500 in relocation costs. So there are some benefits to the short sale, and we're starting to see those come back. And that's another thing that we're seeing more and more clients that are behind on payments and that are now upside down on their equity.
Yeah, well, they had a statistic that said in October of 2025 that was the most amount of missed mortgage payments that was recorded. So, you know, people hurting out there right now.
Yeah, credit card balance are high. It's a stressful time for a lot of families and stuff. And as much as the media likes to make everything rosy, we are out in people's homes and we're experiencing it firsthand. Yeah. And so it is definitely challenging sometimes. And it's important that you find an agent or work with an agent who has experiences and knows how to give you good advice and help you walk you through the process. So in the current market right now, you know, we've had a few transactions. Actually, we're doing a lot of transactions right now, but we just closed one that was for an estate matter. And this particular home was very original, 1970, original shag carpet.
Green carpet.
We did a video on it. It was quite funny. 1970s little video.
It was groovy.
It was groovy. But you know, when we got this transaction, this home needed a complete renovation. It had good bones, like they always say, but it was original. And so we got multiple offers on this property. Actually listed at $980.
Tons.
And of course, we get all these investors that come running to us and want to buy it, and they play the investor game. And we had to let inform the seller that here's the games that they play, and they played them. So the first offer we list for $980, we get an offer for $1,080,000. Sounds fantastic. No contingencies, no loan, no appraisal, no inspection, nothing. And of course, what happens? He doesn't put his deposit in. And we're like, hey, what's going on with your deposit? I got problems, whatever. And then they back out. And then we call up the second investor, and he comes in like at $1,077,000 or something. And he's like, oh yeah, we want the home. And then we found out through other agents that he was trying to wholesale it.
Yep.
So he's trying to lock it up at $1,070,000. And then he was trying to sell it, the contract, for like another $30,000 or $40,000 to make a quick 30, 40 grand by just locking up the property.
Yeah.
Of course, the investors didn't want to pay more than that. So then he kind of come back and said, oh, what did he say? Oh, your roof doesn't match the neighborhood. All the roofs have tile. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Ours is a tile roof. What are you talking about? And he was just trying to make more money and drop it to $1,040,000.
Yeah.
And then we ended up
having a family who actually came through, and they had loved the property since day one. I mean, I think I took them there at least 10 times to see the home. They had their whole family go through, and this was their dream home. And I am always a big person of, if it is meant to be, it is meant to be. It is the will of the universe, right? God's plan.
I agree with you.
And after the defeat and after the investors playing their games of bait and switch and, you know, probably not even viewing the property and giving blind offers, finally we presented it to them and said, hey, they were in a situation to where they were going to have to sell their property in order to buy this one. Well, you know, the seller wasn't too thrilled about that. So the lender and I got together and came up with the idea of, let's do a bridge loan, right? So they could buy the property without having to sell the other one first. And that way, you know, the seller would be a little bit more happier. So we were able to get them, you know, the higher price that they wanted for the seller, and also get the buyers their dream home, you know, at a good price, and still being able to do the bridge so they can buy it. And now they're super happy. They love the property. We're actually already in escrow on their home that they had to sell.
And they got a higher price than you listed it for.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yes.
it's a 1031 investor who's coming in to buy it. I've experienced this too in doing real estate for 37 years. When you try to force a transaction and it's just not meant to be, it just seems like it just is not a good result. And I've worked with many clients, and they just know when you walk into that house, you just know that that's the house for them. And it's just really, like, I can't explain it. Like you said, it's a higher power. I've had many clients, and we've had many clients that we've showed 30, 40 homes, right? And over a 2-year period of time. And then I've had, you know, and they find their dream home. And I have other clients that's, you know, the first home.
Yep.
So you never know. It's a matter of just being patient and finding the home that's right for them. So here's this transaction, comes to us. The guy was in New York. The seller was in New York. We handled everything from him, from the estate sale, repairs, listing the property, getting it sold, and really making it a better experience for him. He's out of state. We had to go through the investor game. So the lesson learned there is that if you sell to an investor, get ready for the games. They're going to try to beat you down on price after they lock you up. They're going to promise you the biggest rainbow in the sky, and then they're going to come back and start beating you down, trying to get a lower price. That's the investor game.
Yeah, they have to make their profit and make their margins.
Yeah. And so they're going to tell you everything is wrong with your property, yet a traditional buyer, most of the time, a traditional buyer that's going to live in it because they're not trying to make a profit is going to be a better. It may take longer, a little bit more, so maybe 20-day escrow or a 10-day escrow, may take a 30-day escrow, but you might get a lot more money for that home. So patience and not rushing it comes with, more money in your pocket at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And that buyer, my client, they had been trying to buy a home for over a year, and they kept getting beat out by investors.
Yeah, in fact, one of them was our listings.
One of them was our listings that they got beat out.
And the small part about it is that one of my old agents that worked for us sold them the house that they're living in now. They wrote an offer on the another property, and then this whole deal came in a big full circle, and now they bought our listing, and then we're helping them sell the home. And, it's just like the circle of real estate.
The circle of real estate. I like that. I often get the question of, what's it like working with your dad? And let me tell you, it's a pain in the ass. I'm just kidding.
No, it is. I'm a pain in the ass. I have high expectations of demands of my own self. I expect it sometimes, and she does an amazing job. She's working with me, which is no easy situation. She's also studying to get her studies done for her education. And then she's a full-time mother to 2 kids. Her plate is full. And it's good that she's young, because at my age, I couldn't do it anymore than she does. I love working with my daughter. I love seeing her grow. I love that part of it. Sometimes maybe I'm a little too hard on her. She cried a couple days ago or a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And it's not because I'm trying to be mean. It's just that, we want the Tesla experience for our clients.
Yeah.
We want our clients to know that we're out there working, fighting for them, and want them to have the best experience. And real estate is not easy.
No.
If anyone thinks it's easy, it is not easy. When things don't go perfect, or things maybe don't get communication. I think communication is the biggest challenge we have. We're all going so fast in different directions and trying to do things that sometimes the communication needs to have more improvement.
That's why our morning huddles are so important.
Yeah.
We can all get on the same page and be aligned and know what we need to do and know what we need to accomplish for the day.
I've never heard our clients say we don't communicate enough. I've heard our clients tell us we communicate too much sometimes.
Yes.
But we are, again, trying to make sure that they are getting things in a timely manner, and then that they understand the process. And a lot of times in our transactions, we're dealing with a divorce situation or a probate situation, and it's not a happy time sometimes for them, and they don't want to deal with the documents or get them back on a timely manner because it's something that is not a happy moment for them.
Yeah.
And it's tough in a family law situation or even in a death situation. People ask me all the time what I do. I said, well, I deal with death and divorce. We love our standard clients too, the regular ones. We love you guys. But we're doing we do a lot with the family law cases, and we are trying to navigate through this transaction to help both parties move forward in their lives, to make sure they maximize that asset and the money goes to where it's supposed to go to. And it's not always easy, and they have many things going on. They have their regular life work they got to do. They're dealing with kid transportations between sometimes 2 different households. They're dealing with finances. It's a very difficult and emotional time. I want my staff and my company to be the go-to place to help these people through the process and know and trust that we are going to do what's in the best interest of them whether they're mad at us or mad at the world, but we're really just trying to do the best for them. And some of the clients out there that maybe, were upset because they had to sell their home, will look back and say, you know what, they did what was best for me, and hopefully will someday appreciate what we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that has been an honor and a privilege watching and working with you, is seeing the difference of how much you care about your clients, about your attorneys, about the people, and making sure you do a good job and upholding your fiduciary responsibility, as you like to say, and being ethical and really valuing and taking care of your clients. Because I see so many other agents giving us a bad rep and taking advantage of their clients, trying to double end it, just make more money off of them. And it's like, that's not what we're here to do as agents.
Right.
We're here to serve. And watching you and learning from you has been a blessing of how amazing you've been to clients. And it's been an honor to learn from you. Most first-time agents, they don't get that experience of being able to work hand on hand with somebody like you. So I think I'm privileged.
That feels good. Makes my heart feel good. Is this a retirement? Am I retiring? Are you trying to get rid of me?
No, not at all, not at all. I'm just saying, I've learned so much from you, and it's truly a blessing, and not very many people get that, and would never take that for granted. So,
thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It makes me sad. It makes me feel old.
Well, you're a book of knowledge and a book of expertise.
I'm a book of something. Oh man, so excellent. Yeah, it is truly a pleasure to work with your child, who now is a woman, and it's exciting to see your growth. I have a son, your brother coming up. Hopefully he'll get there. He's still, learning. And one of the things I always like about is I want my kids to go work for someone else and punch a clock with somebody else, because I don't want them showing up at dad's office and say, well, I'm dad's kid and therefore I get privileges. It's not. You work harder, and one of the things I learned in life is that you lead from being out front by pulling people up, right? Not from behind.
Yep.
And so we have to set the example and the benchmark for people who are at the company to say, you know what, they outwork me, they out-hustle me, and they demonstrate the characteristics that we want in our company.
That's why we help you solve your real estate challenges.
So it's been one of my goals and dreams to create like a podcast similar to this and give the general public a true, honest description of what's happening in the market, where can you go get answers, and be a resource for you. If you like what you're hearing and seeing today, please like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to try to produce these more often. We've just been so busy with appraisals and real estate that we just haven't really gotten around to it. And we feel like, or at least I believe, that we need to get the right information to the public, to our community. There's so many people out there, you'll ask them, hey, what's going on? Everything's perfect, everything's great, right? And they don't really give you the true and honest pulse of what's happening in the market. They're trying to sell you something and not help you and be your trusted resource. And so again, please like and subscribe to our channel. We're always available here to take your call.